So we have Amber Maldonado here. So what have you been up to recently?
Recently, just a lot of audio editing for my album, and that's pretty much my life right now. And taking a short break here to be home and to hang out with you today. But
Yeah.
yeah, just a lot of album prep.
Cool. So tell me about. I want to tell the viewers you've been in LA.
hmm
When did you move to LA?
So I moved to LA in mid-February, right before they shut down the whole state. So it was awesome timing.
Yeah.
So I've been there just using all my time to put full force into myself as a brand and as an artist and creating my product, which is my album.
Okay. Cool. Um, let's talk about a little bit where are your goals lying for you as a musician. I know you're working on releasing the album. That's obviously a big goal, but what are your plans after that? Let's say that COVID's not an issue and you can tour and all that type of stuff. But where do you want to go with everything?
So before I say what my goals are, I do want to point out that I'm a guitarist and I'm a progressive metal guitarist, and my album is instrumental progressive metal, and it has the metal aspects in the drums, distorted guitar, and fat bass lines. But then it has some composed elements with string quartet, some solo violin, and then some kind of Tigran Hamasi on piano. So that's what I do. So that's the music I've written. So that's the album I'm working on, and I'm shooting for it to be released this fall, September, October. So that's what I've been working on right now. And so let's say in September when the album is released, then COVID's over miraculously. Hopefully it will be. So my long-term goals would be to just keep growing myself as an artist. So
I'm going to pause you real quick. Facebook Live, I'm really sorry. I forgot to hit record on my Anchor app to get it on recording. The first time mess up, so that's okay. All right, so we're here with Amber Maldonado, and she's just getting into telling us about her long-term goals. You go ahead. Sorry, take it over again, Amber.
So then my long-term goals for when the album is released in September, October this fall would be to keep growing my presence as an artist. I've seen a lot of artists. I went to school at Berklee College of Music, so lots of my friends or just classmates or people I know from that community, I see them work really hard on these EPs and then just kind of release them, and they're like, by the way, I did an EP, it's on Spotify, go listen to it. And it's like you put in so much effort into making this amazing EP, into putting your heart and soul into it and who you are, and then you totally fall flat on the promotion and on your brand and on building who you are. So when I'm putting together this album, I want to spend as much effort as I put into writing the music, playing the music, creating the album, I want to put into the promotion, the marketing, the brand, and who I am. So once I have some more time on my hands, because I'm finished with the album, my goals are going to be to build up my following through the internet. It's because a lot of people are still kind of using the old format of, okay, I have an album, I'm going to go get some gigs at some bars and play some shows, and hopefully more and more people come every time I book a show, and then some label representative is going to be there one night and I'm going to be discovered and I break the glass ceiling and I'll be opening for some cool artist on my first tour. And it's not realistic anymore, or even if it is.
Why do you think it's not realistic anymore?
It's just, it takes so much more time to do that. And now when you're signing up for a label, if that's the way you want to go about it and you're like, yep, I do pop or I do hip hop or whatever genre, if it's a more mainstream thing and you need that label support and that's what you're aiming for, they already want you to come to them with some type of fan foundation with some followers, and they want that social proof on your Instagram or Facebook pages. And if you don't have that, the music has to be like doubly amazing. Like they of course always look for, number one is good music, but second, they're looking for your following, unfortunately. So if you put all this hard work into good music and then fall flat on the following, you're not going to have that pull and that social proof that these labels are looking for, which could play a part in whether they sign you. So if you're only going to shows, and let's be honest, those bar shows aren't fun because you get maybe 10 to 15 people who show up,
Right.
and you don't make any money for them, and they're a lot of effort.
Right.
Whereas you can reach just as many, basically way more people by posting a really cool video on Instagram or on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's the same effort but for a larger reach, and then you have social proof from that. It's not a one-time thing where you have to keep repeating it every single time.
Right. So that's where I think that musicians or anyone who does like performative arts, they also do it because it's an event too, right? They enjoy, even if it is 10 to 15 people, but that sometimes can be like a downfall when they could just go onto YouTube and promote themselves that way and do word of mouth through, I guarantee you they have more Instagram followers than they have people going to their shows, even if it's 200 people.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 200 people coming to see you play, that's a lot. And
that's a lot.
The idea is that you want to use these platforms that are free to use, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, TikTok now, or keep popping up.
Yeah.
You want to use these free platforms to build an awesome foundation and an awesome crowd and fan base for yourself. So that way, when a label does go to pick you up, or when you say, I think I have enough fans to start planning my own DIY tour, you don't have to play at these tiny little bar shows. You can say, let's book some real venues. I have the pull. So you can skip playing to those 10 to 15 people to actually going to a venue to play for 200 people.
That's interesting right there. So, what would you say, how many followers do you think is a safe amount for you to do a DIY tour and try and go for those? What's your goal, right?
That's hard.
What's that magic number?
A lot of it depends on where your followers are. So if you have, for me, I'm shooting for 10K. I want 10K by the end of the year.
Okay. Now, with that being said, right, that's something that people didn't have in the past.
No.
You can literally see where your followers are, and you can book your tours dates based off of where your followers are, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
So if I look at my insights on my followers and I see that I have them spread out too far everywhere all over the world, maybe it's not as reasonable for me to plan a large tour in the East Coast if I see that I don't have that many followers in any one specific location. But the flip side could be I look at my insights and I see, all of my followers are in the New York City area. I'm going to play some shows in New York City. Now I can do that and expect to have a good pull.
That's awesome. That's huge. No one had that before.
No. And I think people, and it's a lot of work and not everyone knows how to do it.
Okay.
So I don't think people even realize that tool is just there at their disposal.
That isn't even an option.
Yeah. And that, you can just kind of skip level 1. You don't have to play those shows. You can go straight to doing some decent small tours instead of just keeping playing your same town or city you live in and just keep playing the same venues and
that's so awesome.
Feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again and you're like, come on, why am I not growing? Why am I not coming on to the next level? This is frustrating and feeling like you're stuck. Instead, you can push forward on the internet and build that following there and then just invite them to meet you.
That's awesome. I love it. So you said your goal is 10,000 followers. How many followers are you at now?
I think I'm at 5,800.
5,800.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of which, where can people go follow you if they ever listen to this podcast? We'll touch it at the end too, but...
Absolutely. I am active on Instagram. So it's Amber Maldonado 1070 on Instagram, and
we'll put up a link too. We'll link it up.
Yes, so that's it. You'll find me there, and you can come follow along, and we'll have fun.
Great. And just because I started the Facebook Live first and then the podcast app, I want you to just tell the audience on Spotify and all those podcast stations what kind of music do you play, all that type of stuff, where you're from, and that junk.
Yeah, so
you go ahead.
So I'm from Rhode Island. I went to school at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I graduated in 2019. I'm based in LA now, and my music, I'm a guitarist. I play progressive metal, and my original music is instrumental. It has the metal style of guitar, drums, and bass, but I decided to add in some more, I guess, kind of cinematic strings and string quartet and some solo violin, which I found out after that I wrote it and from friends listening to it. It sounds a lot like the movies directed by Hayao Miyazaki, if you know any of those, like Spirited Away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
So it ended up having a lot of influence in my music. Those movies I loved when I was a kid. And then I love the Armenian jazz pianist Tigran Hamasyan, so piano is a big element in my music.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of progressive metal is known for its technical aspects. It's a bunch of really good guitar nerds just nerding out and trying to play in weird time signatures and stuff. So it has some weird time signatures, but I wanted the emotional aspect of music to drive the album instead of saying I can play really fast in 7/8.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to be, I guess, something that could connect to people who do like more technical music, but also people who are just more passive listeners to also be able to say, wow, I really connect with this, or this is good, I like it. So I want it to be accessible for everyone.
Sweet. I love that. So you don't have to be a music nerd to enjoy her music.
Yes.
That's the basic bottom line, right?
Yes.
Now, why... So you went to school in Boston. Why did you stay in Boston? Why did you go to LA? What was the... Was it just out of adventure? Was it because you think that's the best place you could be for music? What, you tell me.
Yeah, so one's a really silly reason, but the winters in Boston are killing me.
That's a great reason. That's a great reason.
Especially in the months of April. Last April, my bed is right next to the window, so my head is right next to the window, so every morning I wake up and I would move the blinds and look up at the sky like, is it going to be blue today? And I'd be like, oh, it's gray.
It's gray.
For a whole month, and it kills my soul. Like, I don't have motivation. It really affects me. And I'm like, I don't have to live somewhere cold if I don't want to anymore. Like, this is it.
Right.
So part of it was that it's a lot to handle, 6 months of just gray.
No, definitely.
So
I feel that here in Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also the Boston music scene is very small, and it's great. I love Boston as a city, but a lot of the music scene is a lot of Berklee students playing their gigs at the Middle East Upstairs or Sonia's or...
Now, do those students get paid well to go play those?
I mean, I don't know what they're getting paid, but they're probably getting paid like maybe $50.
Right. Isn't that wild? $50.
And it's great because when you're doing it as a student, it's like, yeah, you're broke anyways, some extra money to pay for stuff and some practice with live performances and running a band and stuff. So it's great. But then when you're actually like, okay, I want to be a musician and make money off these things, it's hard when there's only like five small venues to play at.
Right.
And then the size of the music scene is limited. It's mainly run by students, and the booking and promotion people who work there, it's been the same guys who run that scene for like the last 20, 30 years.
Right.
So it's kind of like set, it's made, it's done. And I felt like the opportunity for growth there just wasn't really there because the size of those small venues, you have big venues like the House of Blues or TD Gardens, but those are reserved for the people who are passing by on tour anyways. So it kind of limits you.
Gotcha.
So...
Do you think it'd be worth it to go out to LA? First of all, you're going to feel better because you're in the sun.
Yeah.
And then you don't know how that scene is really yet because you've been there only since it's been shut down in February.
I know. Part of it was just saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it, do something new.
Right.
Challenge myself, see what happens.
Was it scary?
I mean... Once I knew I had an apartment to live in, that was like half of the scary. When you go there and you're like, oh God, where am I going to live?
Right.
Knowing, okay, I have an apartment, I have a lease, I have somewhere to sleep and put all my things when I first get there, so that was great. Okay. And then the other half is just saying like, okay, now I feel like every time I move to a new city, I'm kind of conquering it. Okay. So I felt like, okay, I conquered Boston, I know where everything is, I know what's up, like I got it. I did a study abroad in Valencia in Spain. I felt like, okay, I understood that. I know where everything is in Valencia. I know what's up. I got it. And then Rhode Island's so small.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy.
I got the state. It's
Yeah. State's in my pocket, it's fine. So now to LA, I'm like, okay, time for the next thing. I have to figure out what's up.
Uh-huh.
And in my sense, I conquer that too. So
that's great.
I mean, I don't know if LA is the right move for every musician, because especially like we were saying about growing your following online.
Like you can do it anywhere.
Exactly. The need to move to a big city now isn't necessarily
especially when it's
necessary.
Especially when it's like a place like New York.
Yeah.
Where you're paying like $2,000 for like a cockroach infested 1-bedroom or studio apartment. You know?
Yeah. You can just live in the middle of nowhere
and be comfortable.
And do your Facebook Lives.
Yeah, right? Like this. Then I also wanted to say, or like ask you, like for people listening, if someone did want to move out to a big city or something like that, what's like 3 to 5 things they could do to prepare? Like if you can put it in order, but if you can't, that's okay too.
Yeah. I would say if you have a community of friends there, because that's what I had with, I mean, not so much with Boston when I moved there, but it wasn't too far from Rhode Island. And
how'd you have it in LA?
Yeah, so like with Boston, it was, okay, but I'm going to be taken care of by the university. But moving to LA was something like, no one's taking care of me now, that's it, I'm an adult. But my friends had moved out to LA from Boston after graduation.
Okay.
So I had some community, so I got an apartment with 2 friends, and I had friends literally checking out apartments for me and sending me videos.
That's nice.
So that was like the biggest help, probably having someone to be able to scope out apartments. I messaged friends saying, okay, what areas are good to move into, affordable, what areas should I avoid, like where
it's always good to have that inside source.
Yeah, so that helped a lot. And then in getting there, I mean, especially with the music business, it's always about knowing someone. True. So it's about when you get out there with your friends, like, applying, if you want to apply for a job, like applying online, but also messaging your friends and saying, hey, do you know who's hiring? Because a lot of them work in labels or for
that's really cool.
known film scoring composers or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and they might just be internships or like assistant jobs, but that's fine.
Right.
Because those things.
Because you don't just go out to LA and you become this huge musician, right?
Yeah.
Like,
you have to start. You have to start at the bottom, and you have to pay your dues.
Exactly.
So I would say the biggest thing is if you have a community of friends out there who can help you check places out, that's great. If you don't, I would say get an Airbnb or get a 1-month lease or 2-week lease, something, and then just spend that time finding an apartment.
Okay.
And then once you have your apartment and your home base, then you can kind of start figuring out the area and the networking and all of that.
Yeah, cool. But just it's just like you take care of your needs first.
Yeah.
Right? That food, shelter,
exactly.
And safety. You'll get to go after that and explore a little bit more. All right. Now, you said you have like almost 6,000 followers on Instagram. That's not an easy feat for anyone. And you're someone who's playing music and putting out art and everything. You're not just someone going on there and, it's actual content, that you're putting up. Are there like certain ways you go in trying to get people to follow you that aren't already following you? Something that would be beneficial for someone who's trying to build their Instagram or Facebook. What would they do? So,
I mean, I would first decide what kind of content do you want to put out and then do it really well. So one of the big things for me is, okay, I like practicing. I'm always practicing at home. Cool, that's great. Then when I had to actually make a video, I'm like, oh, it has to be really good. So then I visually sound in terms of like good audio quality, but also in terms of good playing.
Right.
It has to be perfect. It's like you're doing a performance, but you get a couple tries to get it right. So, and then, okay, but great, you make a great video. But after that, okay, but what's coming up next week? So it really forced me to learn content really well and a lot faster than I was used to. Instead of spending a month learning a song, it's like I have a week.
That's really cool.
So I got my playing really good. It took my playing to the next level, trying to put out professional content regularly. So I would say create some type of schedule where you say, what kind of content do I want to put out, and then do it.
What does your schedule look like?
My schedule is 2 posts a week.
Okay.
Monday, Thursdays.
When are you recording for those? Do you have a schedule for that as well?
I try to.
Or you just hit those deadlines and that's just it?
For a while, I had the next video up for Q before I even posted the one that was coming. So I had a video ready like a month in advance, kind of.
Staying ahead of it.
Yes. And then sometimes life happens and you fall behind, and then sometimes the day I'm supposed to post is the day I get it finished, unfortunately.
Okay. No, but that's how it is.
But you gotta meet it. Sometimes life happens and you fall even more behind, and you're just like, I spent a month without posting, and it happens.
And I'm sure that business owners can relate to this as well.
Yeah.
This stuff happens all the time where your client needs something done and you just need to figure out a way to make it happen because God knows what happened.
It's like I had other deadlines. Okay, I didn't post on Instagram, but I had 2 8-hour sessions in the studio tracking something, you know? It's like, it happens. You can't do it all sometimes.
Yeah, and that's okay. You don't beat yourself up about it.
No, it just happens, and you just say, well, when I post, I'll get it back on track. And then keeping my content guitar focused, because in the beginning I was posting things and they were just pictures of me, and really my followers want to see pictures of me with my guitar or videos of me with my guitar. So it's keeping
mainly videos, right? You can't do a picture.
Yeah, so, just catering to what kind of content they want to interact with.
How did you find out what they wanted? Did they comment and say, like, hey, we would like to see you with this?
They don't really comment. It's more of just tracking how many likes I would post. Because I said I did a study abroad, so I posted this super cool photo of, like, me in Morocco or, somewhere cool. And I'm like, wow, that's such a great picture. Like, it looks so awesome, and then I get like 98 likes.
So is it different? You can tell by the engagement.
Yeah, and then I post like, okay, I just need something to post. I take a selfie of me with the guitar. It's not even good quality, and then it gets like 300 likes. I'm like, okay, well, I see what you want.
That's interesting. Okay.
So it was based on the engagement I was getting, and then to bring that even further, I looked into people's first impression of me, which is how my profile looks. So if someone stumbles onto my profile and it looks like a mess, or like a personal profile where there's no color scheme, there's no kind of like, when you go onto someone who has a really good Instagram profile, you can immediately say that profile makes me happy, or that profile looks epic. Or if you could take 3 words to describe a profile you stumble on, like, that's their brand.
Is that someone could do before they decide to make the Instagram? Like, they should just sit down and say, all right, I'm going to come up with 3 words that I want someone to feel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
That's awesome.
I wanted people to come onto my profile and think, okay, like maybe like I'm friendly or fun, like I'm personable, and then to think, okay, I'm a cool metal guitarist, and then maybe like, I don't know, adventurous, something like that.
Okay.
And I copied it from other people's profiles.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no. I went onto other people's profiles who were other female guitarists, and I said, okay, one of them was like a gymnast, or she did like trapeze art, and like while playing guitar, she's like hanging upside down from a hula
That's so
playing
cool.
guitar. I know, I'm like, wow, she seems like she's so fun and energetic and cool, and I'm like, oh, that's her brand. All of her posts feel that way. Another one had a different brand where it's more like her whole profile was purple, and it was more flirtatious or whatever, and like that's her brand. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick my brand, and I need my photos to reflect who I am.
Right.
So it needs to hit something like that, and then after that, I worked on making my captions really authentic and really me. And instead of just posting short little captions, I started telling people who I was through my captions, and they started relating to me.
Can you give me like an example? Like, what was something you said that didn't work? Let's start there, right?
I posted, I posted like a photo of me hanging off a cliff, like my feet dangling off a cliff, and I was like, cliffhanger, and I was like, ha, that's clever. It didn't get any likes.
Okay. So what was the caption that did work?
I did like a 5-post series or whatever on my story, and I talked about how the first time I applied to Berklee, I was rejected. How I finally got in, but then I felt I still wasn't good enough.
Interesting.
And then how I developed horrible back pain, and then how I finally got my confidence back and decided to pursue being an artist and make my album, and how I finally felt like me again.
That's awesome.
And following my dreams, and that I got back to the reason I do music, which is because I want my music to be there for people the way music has always been there for me. And people, it got so many likes. It got into, like, I got over 1,000 likes on a couple of those posts.
Right, it's authentic. People are...
And then I got DMs from people saying, oh my gosh, the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
Or I had the same kind of back pain for the same reasons, no one could figure it out. Or, wow, that's exactly what happened for me, but not pursuing music, but pursuing mathematics or something to that extent. And so people, like, and one of them, he DM'd me, he was like, the first thing I thought was, wow, this is so relatable. And it just made me so happy, because I'm not just saying, yay, I got 1,000 likes. I'm really interacting and reaching with people and making connections, which is just so much more rewarding.
Which is what you want your music to do.
Yes,
exactly. That's awesome. That's really cool. Was it scary to be open up?
Yeah, because you're like, okay, this is really personal to me. I'm going to put out who I am, the struggles I've been through over the last few years. And then what if no one cares? What if they don't like it? What if they're just like, get over yourself?
Right.
But they received it really well, which was really awesome.
That's great. That's awesome. There's two things I want to go over. I want to get into your album, but we can say that towards the end. But you want to tell them how we know each other?
Yeah. I was taking guitar lessons with my teacher of like 10 years, and he had just moved to this music studio called Bedrosian. And then he was like, after a while, he's like, okay, Amber, I can't give you lessons anymore. I'm moving on with my life. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they hired Keaton, and Keaton became my guitar teacher. And then for a few years, and then we went to college together for 1 year at University of Rhode Island, and we've just stayed in touch.
Yep. And that's when she went off to Berkeley, which is awesome. And by the way, if you don't know, I'll open up a little bit here. I'm a college dropout, so there's part of you, and the goal of Berkeley, quote unquote,
is to drop out.
Is to drop out, right? Which is a little ironic.
I didn't, so I guess I failed.
yeah, but she's still pursuing it. I love it. And with Berkeley and the music business degree, why was that different than just like a performance side of everything? What did you get out of it that maybe other people didn't?
Yeah. A lot of it going into it, and my parents were really freaked out that I was pursuing music, and for many years they were like, Amber, don't do it. Music is just a hobby. You can't make money off of that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just everything. Like, they're so scared. Oh my gosh, our very smart daughter who gets honors in high school and all of this awesome stuff could have been, they're like, Amber, you could have been anything. You could have been a lawyer, a doctor, you know. They're like, why do you need to do music?
Right.
So they were really scared. And
from what I know about Amber, is she doesn't take in that stuff from her parents. I think she hears it, and she's just, from what I can tell. On the outside, I don't know what's going on the inside. But she's always been like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I don't care. It's no problem.
I guess I'm kind of fearless in that way. But, so I'm like, okay, but I am hearing it. It's like, I hear what you say. Like, if, God forbid, this music thing doesn't work out, what do I do? How would I make money? So I was like, okay. And then going into it, it's like, I want to be an artist. I want to be a performer. But do I really need to spend all this money for a piece of paper that says I know how to play in front of other people?
Okay.
And I'm like, I'd rather know the background of, well, how do I get to the point where people are paying me to play in front of other people?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to know, like, it just seemed like the music industry was a giant, big question mark of how musicians get from being bedroom musicians and nobodies to being the top of their genre and industry. How do they do it? Because if I know how they do it, then I can copy it and I can do it.
Right.
So that's kind of how I went into business. And then, you know, for my parents, worst case, the backup, it doesn't work out. Okay, but I have a business degree, which is cool.
Exactly. So what were the business classes that they offered at Berkeley that you took?
Yeah, so a lot of them were like normal business classes, like marketing.
Okay.
And then other ones were very specific, like record company operations, or music publishing and just very, and then even the business classes that weren't um, specifically music classes like marketing, everything they put through the lens of a musician or through the lens of a label or whatever. So that way it wasn't just like, here's how you sell Bounty paper towels. It was more of like, okay, here's how you sell music, or here's how you sell a person, because like you're selling music, you're technically selling CDs, but you're also selling this idea of the artist, you're also selling that person. It's like you fall in love with the music, but you also then kind of fall in love with the person who made the music and who they are. So it's like you're selling, how do you sell yourself? So they put everything through that lens, which was great. And it was awesome to learn so much from how record companies operate, to reading contracts, to have practicing negotiations in class with, as if you're the artist and you're negotiating to get a manager, or you're negotiating with a studio, or you're negotiating with the label. You practice all of that, reading contracts, writing contracts. So I mean, it was great.
That's huge. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, this is, being a musician is a full-time entrepreneurship, business owner. You have to wear all the hats like any entrepreneur does. You have to know how to market, how to negotiate, how to produce a product, and how do you frame that product to say this is worth buying to whoever your customer is. And then on top of this, you even broke into, you have the artist as a brand, and then also a personal brand, which like most business owners don't even touch upon or are willing to. And you're doing both of them, which is, I think is awesome. And you're kind of mixing it together, right, with your Instagram pages, like.
Cause like running a business, it's like, okay, you need a place. It's like a party. You need a place to have the party, which is my Instagram page. You need something to serve the people, which is my content, or the food, and then you need people to invite. So it's like, that's how you have to do it. And
that's the best simplification of a business I've ever heard. Can you say that just one more time? Really, that's awesome.
It's not mine. I read it online.
I know, but it's great.
But it's hosting a party. You need the house or the event place, which could be your website, your social media. In my case, it's Instagram. You need people to invite. Who is your ideal customer? Who are you looking to target? And then you need something to serve them, which is your product or your content. And they can't be out of balance. You can't invite them to this big empty house, or you can't not have enough product to serve them.
Or a crappy product. You know what I mean? Like, imagine you had like.
They don't want your burnt food.
Exactly. That's it. Yep.
And I did want to touch on, I like how you opened this up and saying that if you're an artist at all, a visual artist or performing artist, if you're trying to sell your art, no matter what medium, you are an entrepreneur. And that's something that I realized even after I graduated. I'm like, wait, this is like starting my own business. I think I should look more into reading business books and stuff. And I think that's something that a lot of my friends and classmates never realize. They're just like, yeah, I'm an artist. It's like, yeah, but like, what are your revenue streams? Like, how are you paying taxes?
That's huge.
What are other ways you can make money besides playing shows? You know, all of that stuff.
So let's dive into your product, right? So when did you decide, all right, I went to school, I've spent enough time learning, I'm good at the guitar now, which, by the way, what age were you when you picked up the guitar?
At 6 years old.
6 years old, which is just unreal. First of all, it's hard to teach anyone who's 6 years old how to play the guitar, which I'm sure you'll find out at some point, if you haven't already. And then having them stick with it for, what are you, 24, 25 now?
I'm 23.
You're 23.
So 17 years.
Yeah, 17 years she's been playing guitar. And then, so you stuck with it that long. And how many years into it before you decided, all right, I'm going to put out a product? So when did you decide to say, I'm going to put out an album?
I mean, I guess pretty recently.
What
the idea of it, like when I decided I want to be a musician, I want to do music, I want to go to Berklee. I was 12 years old. But then, like, okay, I go to Berklee. I'm like, maybe I won't be an artist because it's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in a band and like tour and do all that cool stuff. I'm like, maybe I'm not meant for that. Maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough guitarist, or even if I know how, like I do, who would want me? You go through that a lot. And
Do you still
you're
go through
confident.
that, you think?
Not anymore now, and
That's
so
awesome.
and then like I started getting my confidence. Okay, who am I really supposed to be, and where did I compromise on myself? And then just saying I'm not going to compromise on that anymore, and I am going to just completely block out all of the negative energy or people telling me I don't think that's a good idea, and just stick to my vision.
Okay.
So the idea of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put out an album because it's scary putting yourself out there, putting who you are as a person, as a creative,
Just like that Instagram
out
post.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary because you don't know how people are gonna accept that, and there's a lot of critics online who just like to put other people down. And
Yes,
you know,
there
it
is.
doesn't matter that they're a faceless person or that it's almost like you're not a person to them when they say those things. It still
It
hurts.
matters. Yeah, it matters that you put the time and effort and your emotions into that.
Yeah. So then to say have the courage to really like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna wait for someone else to pick me up as a guitarist, or I'm gonna write my own music. I wrote the first song to this album in like 2017, the fall of 2017. And then I was writing all these songs, but I'm like, yeah, but am I really gonna do anything with them? I don't know. Going back and forth. And then, but I was really like, I'm gonna do this. It happened like I think only like a year ago.
A year ago,
a little
you
bit
said,
over a year ago. Like, I'm
going.
doing this. There's no going back. I'm just gonna do it and
Uh-huh.
hope for the best and hope people like it.
Right. Awesome. So, do you wish you decided sooner?
That's hard. I wish I had more confidence in myself sooner, and I wish I hadn't compromised on what I wanted to do or try to pursue other avenues and had just been like, I'm going to do an artist and really stuck to my guns from the beginning. But I don't regret where I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question there is like, all right, so let's say there's someone listening that they're not feeling as confident in themselves. Mm-hmm. They're not really in that space. They feel like they know what they want to do, but they're listening to other people, or they're willing to compromise on things. What would you say to them to say, all right, this is how I did it, or this is what I think you should do? Are there questions they should ask themselves? Are there actual physical things they should do? What do you think?
I would just say that only you know what's best for you, and only you know who you're really meant to be. Don't listen to the logic, listen to your intuition, because logic is things and that intelligence are things that only other people have told you, but your intuition is what's going to create something new, and no one else can be you or create what you were meant to do.
Yeah.
So just know that, and then say, okay, but are you not confident because you don't think your playing is good enough? Okay, so practice. Like, right. is there some action you can take to get from point A to point B, from where you are to where you want to be?
Right. So maybe the confidence is.
It's like both.
Okay. So there's some actions like if your plan's not where you want it to be able to show the world, or your product isn't as good as you want it to be to try to sell to people, then go and do the work and make the product or make your playing better or whatever it happens to be.
But then if you have like a bunch of people telling you, no, your playing is awesome, what are you talking about? Like
should you listen?
Then if it's like your mom's always going to tell you you're great.
Oh, right, yeah.
But if it's actual like professors or teachers or people who have some type of insight or knowledge into what you're doing, and they're just like, no, really, honestly, people would buy this, or you're good enough. Awesome. Then that's when you have to say, okay, if I have like 10 people who are certified experts in what they do telling me that this is good enough, then go more into like digging deep in self-reflection and saying, how can I get this confidence that I need?
Okay. I like that. So you decided a year ago that you're going to do this. Mm-hmm. What has it taken to get to where you are? Like, what were the steps that you needed to take to do it?
I mean, it's just, once I decided I'm going to put in an album, it was very technical things. Okay, let me finish writing it. Okay, let me go back and fine-tune my arrangements and pick the instrumentations. Okay, now let me go find a drummer, find a bassist, I'm the guitarist, find a pianist, They're very, like, normal steps to just creating the product.
Right.
And then
go and record it.
Yeah, and then, okay, let's book a studio session. Let's find a sound engineer that I can trust. Let's to be the person recording it, and I'll be there overseeing it and running rehearsals, and and then now let me go and edit the audio and get my final comps of the best playing of the takes and whatever, and then it also took me having a Kickstarter because I couldn't pay for it all on my own.
Let's take a step back from that. So before you had the Kickstarter, what were the types of things that you were paying for out of pocket?
They were big expenses, but it wasn't too many. So my biggest expense was definitely studio time for drums and bass, and then paying my drummer and my bassist.
That's what I was thinking, right? So it's like having an employee.
Yeah,
it
was like a work for hire kind of. I'm contracting you for this amount of time to do this for me, and if you do it well, I will pay you.
Right, exactly. And that's like basically like having a 1099 versus a W-2 employee, which is
And they loved the stuff, and I think they really grew to consider what their role and what they played for me to be kind of personal to them too in the end. But I was very clear, and which I loved, and I wanted them to put their own personal touch on it and everything. Right. But at the end of the day, I was like, this is my music, this is mine, and I don't want to be waiting on anyone else or be strapped down to my drummer lives still in Boston and I live in LA, and I love my drummer, but I don't want to not be able to play the music because he has partial ownership of it, and we don't live in the same place. So it's very clear, like, this is my music. I wrote it all, and you were the person who played a part for me.
Right.
Yes.
That's smart. Owning your music is huge.
Yeah.
And that's I think an issue with labels you probably can speak to more than me. That these labels they'll give you a big chunk of change up front, and then you got to pay it back with your music sales.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, they own the music. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's like it's with today's day and age. You don't have to. You can go that route, but you would say you're doing it. It's worth it to go out and be independent. Or would you like to get picked up by a label at some point?
Personally, it's hard because the landscape of music has changed. Because before 2006, before illegal downloading and file sharing, people paid a lot of money for recorded music because they felt like they were physically buying a CD, so they were okay paying $12 for that. But now that we have streaming, no one's paying for recording music. It's free.
Exactly.
So the labels aren't making their money that way. They're making their money on touring, which is how artists are making their money too. That's why you see big names like, 15, 20 years ago, how much would Beyonce tour, or the biggest name of that time tour? Probably not that much, maybe like one tour a year. Now you have Taylor Swift, who's constantly going on these huge, long stadium tours because that's where the money is. And now labels and their contract, where normally they wouldn't have anything to do with your touring so much.
You could make your money through touring.
Yeah, and then they're just kind of dealing with the recorded music, and you're not getting money from the recorded music, but you're making money off your merchant touring. Now they say, okay, yeah, we'll help you with the recorded music. We're also gonna help you with that tour support, and we're gonna take your revenue from tour support. So that's how and you have the Rise of 360 deals, which is they want a part of every single revenue stream you have as an artist. But, so don't do a 360 deal.
Okay.
But, so it depends. If you're trying to be the next big thing on the Billboard top 40, then you're probably going to still need that label support, because at the end of the day, they're going to pay for you to be on the radio, and which is illegal, but everyone does payola. And, they're going to have the connections to set you up with the best writers and the best team, and they're going to make things happen for you. But it's like everything's a give and take. It's like, are you willing to give up the ownership of your music or some of your revenue to have them, and some of your artistic control to have them bring you to the next level where you want to be? So, and for every genre, it's different. For progressive metal, it's not as necessary. There are a lot of big names in progressive metal who are just doing it DIY, independent, no label, and they're fine with that. And there are some who are signed to labels because that's what they wanted. So you have to look at where you are and where you want to be, and then choose if the trade-off of the ownership of your music is worth it.
Right. It's almost like you become an employee,
I guess.
if you think about it.
Yeah.
because you don't own the product, or you're not you're not in control of the marketing. You're not in control. You're not owning your business at that point, right?
Yeah, not
You're
so much.
just a person who is worked for hire to write the music or to record the music and go run around town performing, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So if someone wanted to go and make an album like the way you have, if there was like a round number that someone should put sock away to be able to feel like they're good enough to do it, like they're like all set, they can go and spend the money and do it and not have to worry about it ending short or whatever. What's that number look like?
5,000.
5,000.
5,000. You pay your musicians. You pay for the studio time. Like, I didn't have to pay for studio time for everything, which was great because as a guitarist, I can just record at home and have the same sound as if I was plugged into a mic'd up amp and all of that. But you have to pay for studio for drums unless you have a really awesome setup at home, which initially
cost you more,
which cost money anyways. And then bass you could record at home, but I wanted them to record together, so that was a personal choice.
Bass and drum,
As strings, I had to record in a studio, the quartet together.
You got real strings.
Yeah, I didn't program them real strings. So it just depends on what you're doing. If you're a vocalist, you could record that at home if you have a good mic. Drums, they just almost always have to be in a studio unless you're programming that too. But some genres you can get away with it, some you can't. So it just depends. But you're paying for the studio time. You're paying your musicians unless you're a band, and then you're paying for the editing of the audio. Unless you know how to tune and quantize on your own and you feel comfortable with that, you have to pay someone to do it. You're paying for the mixing unless you know how to mix it on your own, which
you may not be as good as you think you are.
Yeah. And then you're paying for the mastering, and then you're paying for the distribution through CD Baby or like TuneCore
which luckily isn't that much
or DistroKid. You're paying for the distribution. Are you having physical CDs? That's also going to cost a lot. I chose not to do it because it costs a lot.
You could at first. You could figure out.
Yeah. I can later when I have more money. I can say, "Yep, let's do physical CDs. This is awesome. I'll sell them at concerts." But right now, I was like, I got to get the album done. I don't want my money to go to creating CDs yet. And then you got to pay for, after all of that, the artwork or a photo shoot. If you're not going to have custom artwork made, then it's a photo of you. And then you have to pay for promotion. So it's a lot of expenses.
Pay for promotion? What do you mean?
Like, are you going to be running ads? Are you going to pay someone to promote for you? Are you going to
so let's take a step.
Spotify playlist plugging?
Right. So let's talk about that. So I hear a lot of like local artists specifically saying, "I'm not going to play for exposure.
Yeah.
Exposure can't pay my rent. Exposure can't put food on the table." I probably would have said the same thing a few years ago. But now from running a business, exposure is worth money. People pay for exposure all the time.
Yeah. It's marketing, and marketing is the lifeblood of any business.
Exactly.
Like, if you have an awesome product but no one knows who you are, guess what? No one's buying your product.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you're playing in front of 15 people and you're getting paid in exposure, that's not a lot of exposure, you know what I mean? But if you're playing in front of 200, 2,000, it's a different ball game, you know? But let's talk about like the real logistics of it. Like when you're going to go market and promote your CD, what's your plan? I mean, we talked about this on the phone, but I want listeners to hear.
I mean, I don't have anything too specific in place because I'm still finishing it up, so I haven't given my time to creating a plan. But
I want to pause for a second too. Is like in my business, I have a really hard time with like not having a plan for that next step.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you're just like, no, it's okay. I'm going to.
Yeah. I mean, today I just spent like a half hour marking a daily goal from now until August 15th on what I'm going to do for the album.
Awesome.
So I am a big planner, but it's the marketing for me because I'm so focused on creating the product. It's like I can't even begin to think, what I'm going to do for marketing because I haven't even finished paying for the things I need now. So I don't even know what my budget's going to be.
Right.
So I can't make a plan and then it comes and I say, oh, I don't have enough money for this plan I spent this time making. So this
And then you would have had to just remake another plan. Anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd rather spend your time wisely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because time is your most valuable commodity. But what I would like to do is to definitely do some Facebook ads and maybe some ads on YouTube after relevant videos. So
YouTube is cheaper.
Yes,
too.
and if people who like, let's say, an artist, David Maxim Mitzik, when his video ends and mine starts playing, then they'll probably say, oh, what's that? And they'll keep listening versus me putting my video after like a random YouTube video, which could literally be about anything under the sun.
Right. Which is the cool part about like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube ads especially.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, video is like huge and you get more response that way. Second of all, you can do it by channel, right? Like I could put this video on Lewis Howes' School of Greatness channel and pay for it to only be in front of those types of people.
Yeah.
Which I just think is
amazing.
Awesome. And then on top of it, it costs less than all the other options for some reason right now because there's not as much competition.
Yeah.
Because people are afraid to make videos. But if you're willing to do it, I think that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Now, where do you want to drive that traffic? Do you want them to go to your Spotify? Do you want them to become Instagram followers? Do you want them to...
Probably when the album is released, I want to bring them to Spotify because I'm going to want them to listen to it. And then my idea is that once they listen to this album, they're going to go, oh my God, that was the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I need to go follow her on Instagram.
Right. I think you might have to do the reverse.
That too. I mean, but...
Or you could do both.
Yeah, but on my own, I've been putting in lots of time to building my Instagram, and another way is just being very active in your community. I'm very active in the places where progressive metal nerds hang out.
So what do you mean by like places when you're talking? I know what you're talking about, but what do you mean by places?
So I'm hanging out in the hashtags of like metal guitarist, metal drummer, progressive metal.
And hanging out, what does hanging out mean?
I'm just being active by liking people's photos, commenting like, you know, that sounded really cool, or oh, I need to try that.
But genuine comments.
Genuine comments, like making a kind of connection with that. And by that, it's if you know the marketing funnel, that's awareness.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, who's that? And then hopefully when they click on my profile, the brands I've spent so much time creating will convert them to being a follower. So, and then my link on Instagram will be to Spotify.
Yep.
So eventually when I have my Spotify page.
Right.
So it's,
or
I'm going to try to...
merch, or you could have a website.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to bring them back and forth to say, if you're discovering me from Instagram, go check out my music on Spotify.
Yeah.
But if you're finding me from Spotify or an ad that led you to Spotify, you can come hang out with me on Instagram.
That's awesome. That's great. Alrighty. So I want to start trying to wrap things up a little bit. Where can people find you? What's the best way right now with everything going on? Where should they look to find you on?
Definitely on Instagram.
And you have a YouTube channel or anything right now?
Not yet.
All right.
Which is, if you're trying to grow a social media, don't try to do them all at the same time. Focus on one or two, get them really good because they take a lot of time. So that's what I'm doing. Instagram has been my focus, and then eventually I'll open up a YouTube and make that really good.
And focus on building the followers and everything.
So right now I'm only on Instagram.
Because it's nice, because once you do have a following somewhere, you can start saying, hey,
come hang out with me over there.
Right. I have longer form videos on YouTube, not these 1 minute clips. Okay, I like that. Have you touched TikTok at all?
No, not yet.
Do you swipe up on it or anything? Like, you watch anything?
I haven't touched it at all.
I tell you what, it's the funnest app that I've ever played. It's like,
because I see the videos on like other apps and people like share them on other places.
Right.
They're funny.
They're good.
It's like Vine, right?
Yeah. It's like
fancy Vine.
And I tell you what, I think that it's there's like conspiracies, but it makes sense that it's really a music promotion app. So people are like, I'm guessing they're paying to have their songs as like the first option to tap as the background. People are making dances to them. They're getting all these plays.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know on Spotify, you go type in TikTok playlist, and it's all the most popular songs.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So do something like I think
Yeah.
you're gonna end up liking. Okay, so we're gonna follow you on Instagram, and how about what about how are they gonna find out about this? Do you have a release date for your album?
Not yet.
You're not yet.
I want to have. I mean, I have one in my head that I'm aiming for, but
Okay.
I don't want to put that out there
You don't
and
wanna put
then
it out.
not be able to stick to it or something because things
Okay.
can go wrong. You
Right,
never
right,
know.
right.
So
You'd rather have it done and then have a release date?
yeah,
Okay.
so that way it's super like clean and this is what's
Yeah.
happening and you can count on me that this is the date that I mean instead of saying, oh, by the way, I need to push it back. Sorry, guys.
So going on Instagram is the best way to
Yeah,
keep in touch with
I'm
you.
updating people there,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm really transparent about what I do and who I am. So my album updates and everything. So
Right. If they have
You can-
questions,
you
they
can
can
follow.
message you and stuff.
yeah, you
and-
can message me, leave a comment.
Cool. Well, it's been awesome seeing you grow too. Like I saw you when you were like 17 years old, and
Yeah.
cheerleader in high school. Who's growing up and was living in LA by herself now and making her own album. So it's really cool. Thank you so much for being on here, Amber, and we'll chat afterwards. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Cool. I thought your name was clever, BYOB.
I actually didn't come up with it. My employee did.
Oh yeah.
I gave her a lot of like. She's creative too, so I wanted to give her an opportunity to be creative. She created the logo for it and the name.
Oh nice.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. I'll get that up today. Oh, I think we're still live. If you're in this live video, you'll be able to choose what I'm saying.